Vengeful love. Who does he think he is? I whispered to my friend Jacob. It was gym class, and the new guy had made his entry. Man, look at him. He is way ahead in the game, Jacob spoke after staring at him for a while. So what? Even I can make a build like him. I just need to spend more time at the gym, I said. Are you jealous of him, Sam? I mean, anyone would be. Just look at his body, Jacob responded. His name again? I asked Jacob. Tom Rivera, Jacob said. He has already been made captain of the football team. Impressive guy, isn't he? Impressive? That was an understatement, I let out a sigh. Impressive is an understatement. It was like he stepped straight out of a fitness magazine. Makes me feel like a twig in comparison. Jacob smirked and gave me a reassuring pat on the back. Come on, Sammy, don't be so hard on yourself. I crossed my arms, a bit annoyed. It's just, well, it's a bit intimidating, you know? How can someone be so naturally gifted in the area that we have worked so hard for? Jacob chuckled and leaned in a little. I get where you're coming from. Let me tell you something about Tom. It's just not about muscles. The guy's got brains, too. I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Don't tell me he's a genius on top of everything else. Jacob nodded, a smile on his face. Actually, yeah. He transferred here from a prestigious Ivy League university, computer science major. And word has it, he's acing all his classes. Someone will give you a tough competition. I let out an exasperating grumble. So what's his deal? Why'd he transfer here? Jacob leaned in even closer, his voice drooping to a whisper. Rumor has it that he was facing some issues in the previous campus. Bullying, I heard. So he wanted a change of environment. His family's pretty wealthy, so he has the freedom to do that. Bully? This dude? Look at him. There's no possible reason for it, I said. Yeah, I don't see one, Jacob said. I rolled my eyes, feeling a mix of annoyance and envy. Oh, great. So he's not only a fitness god, but he's also a brainiac from a wealthy family. Tough competition. Jacob let out a laugh. Sam, my man, you're letting the green-eyed monster get the best of you. You're a solid guy in your own right. Don't compare yourself to him. Embrace your strengths and be proud of who you are. You sound like Jane, I chuckled. Babe, I've been looking for you in the cafeteria. Jane came running towards me and gave me a kiss, ignoring that I was standing with my teammates in the ground. I was just at the gym, I replied, not making eye contact with my friends, who I knew were probably watching. Gosh, you're playing against that new kid? She shrieked. I hadn't noticed until then. I looked up and saw Tom Rivera in the blue shirt standing opposite to our team. Yeah, easy win, don't you worry, I smirked and kissed her cheek. Good luck, my love, Jane hugged me and went back. We had always been the undefeated champions, a force to be reckoned with on the football field. My team had never lost a single match, and every victory. But that day was different. That day, facing Tom on the opposing team, we tasted defeat for the first time. As the match began, I could feel the tension in the air. Tom, with his athletic prowess and agility, seemed to be everywhere at once. He weaved through our defenses effortlessly, his footwork leaving us scrambling to keep up. With each touch, he maneuvered the ball with a precision that was both impressive and infuriating. I played my heart out, leading my team with the same determination and strategy that had brought us victory time and time again. But Tom wasn't giving up. He scored goal after goal, each shot perfectly timed and executed. The scoreboard, a harsh reminder of our situation, showed a deficit that was growing harder and harder to ignore. I could see the spectators with shocked faces. As the final whistle approached, the realization began to sink in. We were going to lose. I was going to lose. Our winning streak was shattered, our fortress breached by the sheer skill of one player. It wasn't just a match loss. It was a blow to our ego. It's okay, I guess. They deserved this one. Jacob patted my shoulder after the match was over. I jerked away. How? One new guy and everything changes for their team? I crushed my teeth. I didn't realize that he was standing behind me. You played really well. I was impressed. Tom, good match we had. Tom put his hand forward to me. Yeah, man, you were commendable. Well deserved. I stuttered. His voice was deep and his eyes deeper. The bluest of blues I had ever seen. I wasn't expecting you to lose, loser. Jane hugged me from the back. Stop, I don't feel good already, I sighed. I was no longer the coolest guy on campus, no longer the subject of every talk. The twinge of jealousy started small. A flicker of unease when I saw how effortlessly Tom commanded attention. His looks, his charisma, they seemed to draw people in without him even trying. It wasn't long before that jealousy began to grow a quiet undercurrent that I couldn't quite shake. Tom's good looks and charm were undeniable. He had a way of making conversations flow naturally, his presence lighting up any room he entered. His easy confidence contrasted sharply with my own occasional awkwardness. Watching him navigate social situations with such ease made me question my own abilities. As the days passed, I couldn't help but notice a change in dynamics. The girls who once seemed interested in my company now appeared captivated by Tom's. His jokes sparked laughter. His stories held their attention. It was hard not to feel a sense of displacement, like I had been pushed aside to make room for someone shinier and more magnetic. The campus had a new heartthrob now. Yet, the jealousy wasn't just about his charm. It was about how he seemed to excel in almost everything. Academics, sports, social interactions. He effortlessly thrived. I grappled with feelings of inadequacy, wondering why things came so easy to him while I struggled to keep up. The Golden Boy managed to snag the presidency too. When the election days came, he got double the votes that you received, Jacob came to me, holding the ballots. No surprise, I guess. I averted my eyes. Yeah, well, it seems like everything just falls into his lap. First the girls, now the presidency. It's like he's living in some charmed reality. Jacob responded. A football match was one thing, but this is about being a leader for the whole college. And he's got that in the bag too, apparently. I couldn't control my anger. Guys, Jane came running. He's already upset, Jacob hushed her. I have news. Some of the girls got their hands on Tom Riviere's notepad, and they're telling others that he is gay, Jane cackled. What? Emotions faded from within me, and I looked at her with big eyes. And they voted for him? Jacob smirked. Man, I knew something was wrong. Shut it, I whispered. What? Not a tough competition anymore, I guess, Jane nudged me. The next day at gym class, I saw Tom on the treadmill. There was no one else at the gym but us, so I decided to start up a conversation. Hey man, how's it going? I smiled. Oh hey Sam. Sam from the Lakers team, he asked. Yeah, we played together that day, I replied. Congratulations on getting the presidency. Thanks, he beamed. I focused on his face. Was he really gay? He didn't look upset if it was a rumor. In fact, he looked happier to me. Been going to the gym for a long time? I mean, one can tell. I looked at his biceps. Oh, just getting back to my shape. Trust me, I've been better at it, he said. Ask the girls, man, I joked. He didn't seem to mind it and laughed alongside. What can I say, man? He replied with a grin. I couldn't help but stare at his muscles, how they flexed and moved as he talked. I could see Jacob smirking out of the corner of my eye as he entered, clearly noticing my distraction. It was kind of embarrassing, but I couldn't help it. Tom's presence was like a spell, making it hard for me to focus on anything else. As we talked, I struggled to keep my thoughts on track. Tom's voice seemed to have this captivating quality, and it was hard not to get lost in it. Everything around me seemed to fade away as I kept my attention on him. Tom eventually noticed my absent-mindedness and raised an eyebrow. I cleared my throat trying to snap back to reality, but the sense of awe lingered. You okay there, Sam? He asked. Yeah, sorry about that. I just spaced out for a moment. I averted my eyes. No worries. You were looking at me pretty intensely, he chuckled. Sam's just impressed with your dedication to fitness, Tom. Right, Sam? Jacob intervened. I nodded, feeling a bit embarrassed, but also truly amazed. It was truly an unexpected twist. The jealousy I felt took on a different flavor. Or maybe he is thinking about what everyone else is. Tom looked at Jacob with a smile. Sorry, I asked. My identity. Haven't heard? Yes, I'm gay. In case you couldn't muster up the courage to ask like the rest of them, Tom said. I should have felt bad about the bluntness. In fact, I didn't. I was impressed. I had rarely seen people like him, embracing their identity. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you by any means. The apology escaped my mouth involuntarily. Why would I mind? He said, and went off to the dressing rooms. The next day, I met him in the cafeteria again. Jane had her chemistry class, and he told me to wait for her in the cafeteria until she came. Hello there. Tom was the first one to say hi. I wonder where my speech went whenever I saw him out of the blue. Hey, hi, how are you? I asked. Good. You? Oh, also coffee? I was just about to order a good warm latte, he asked. Sure, why not? The words escaped my mouth, although I was waiting for Jane. Something inside me didn't want me to say no to him. Tell me something. Not everyone knows about you, Tom asked, leaning back in his chair, once we had taken a table in the corner. I took a sip of my coffee, thinking for a moment. Well, I'm a huge fan of classic rock. We've got a secret playlist that I blast when I need a break from everything. I couldn't think of anything else to say. Tom's grin widened. No way, I'm a classic rock junkie too. Led Zeppelin or the Rolling Stones? Definitely Led Zeppelin, I replied with a smirk. Stairway to Heaven is a masterpiece. Tom nodded in agreement. Solid choice. I'll have to share my playlist with you sometime soon, man. Maybe you'll find a few surprises in mine too, I teased. Tom laughed, looking forward to it. You know, I didn't expect to see you here, of all places. It's usually the gym. Yeah, well, I figured if I'm not at the gym, I might as well enjoy a cup of coffee and some good company, I said, taking another sip. I'm honored to be that good company, Tom said with a playful grin. Watch out, your humility's showing, I teased back. Tom chuckled. Hey, I'm just calling it as I see it. Fair enough. So, how's it feel to be the campus superstar? I asked, genuinely curious. Tom rolled his eyes. Oh, please, don't start with that. I'm just a guy trying to make his way through college, like everyone else. I smirked. A guy who also happens to snag the presidency and everyone's attention. Tom laughed. I'll admit, it's been a wild ride, but you've got your own thing going. On Sam. The football victories, the charisma. People notice. Yeah, well, it's not like I've never been jealous of your accomplishments, I admitted, feeling a bit bashful. Jealousy, huh? I guess that's a universal feeling, Tom replied with a smirk. True, but it's not the whole story. I've come to realize that there's more to you than just the surface stuff, I said, my tone softening. I didn't even realize what I had said before it was too late. Tom's smile turned warm. You too, Sam. I looked at him, curious. What do you mean? He leaned in slightly. I mean, beyond the rivalry, I've seen your dedication, your passion, and sitting here chatting about music and everything else, I'm getting a glimpse of the guy behind it all. I felt a warmth spread throughout me. Yeah, well, people aren't always what they seem at the first glance. You can say that again, Tom replied, his gaze meeting mine. So maybe we both owe each other a fair shot, I suggested, feeling a connection forming. Tom's smirk turned into a genuine smile. You read my mind. And hey, maybe we can continue this conversation over those playlists we promised to share. I'd like that, I said, returning his smile. For the remainder of the day, I was with Jane, sharing laughter and enjoying the moments we had together. We chatted, walked around the campus, and even caught up on some overdue movie time. Yet as much as I tried to focus on Jane and our time together, there was a lingering thought that kept tugging at the corners of my mind. Tom. Despite my efforts to push the feeling aside, I found myself subconsciously searching for him wherever we went in a common area, like the cafeteria or the library. It wasn't as I was hoping to run into him. It was more like an involuntary reflex. My eyes scanning the crowd in a futile attempt to spot him. At first I brushed it off as mere curiosity, an interest in someone who had been significant in my recent thoughts. But as the day went on, I couldn't ignore the truth. My thoughts kept circling back to Tom, like a song stuck on repeat in the back of my mind. Even Jane seemed to notice something was off. We were sitting on a bench enjoying the sunset, when she turned to me with a quizzical expression. Jane, observant as ever, picked up on my unusual behavior. We were walking by the campus fountain when she turned to me, her expression concerned. Sam, is everything alright? You seem distant today. I quickly masked my thoughts with a smile. Oh, everything's fine, Jane. Just lost in thought, you know. She studied my face for a moment before nodding slowly. Okay, if you say so. But you know you can talk to me about anything, right? Of course, I replied, perhaps a little too quickly. I appreciate that, babe. As we continued our stroll, I fought to keep my attention in our conversation. Jane's words echoed in my mind. You can talk to me about anything. The truth was, I knew I could, but how could I explain the jumble of emotions I was experiencing? How could I admit that I was thinking about someone else, someone unexpected, in a weird way that I hadn't thought of? Jane's presence was comforting, and I cared about her deeply, but there was something about Tom that had unsettled my emotions, a curiosity that I couldn't suppress. A few days after our college chat, Tom approached me with a smile. He held out a flash drive, his expression a mix of friendliness and something else I couldn't quite decipher. Hey Sam, I remember we talked about sharing playlists. I thought you might want to check this out. I looked at the flash drive in surprise, a mix of curiosity and gratitude welling up inside me. You actually made a copy? Tom shrugged, still smiling. Figure it's a modern version of making a mixtape, right? I chuckled, taking the flash drive from him. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. As I slipped the flash drive into my pocket, I couldn't help but feel a rush of emotions. It was a small gesture, yes, but it was one that held a lot of significance for me. Tom had remembered our conversation, and he had gone out of his way to create something he thought I might enjoy. Over the next few days, the flash drive became sort of a secret treasure for me. I waited for the perfect moment to plug it in and listen to the playlist Tom had created. It was as if opening a window into his world, a way to understand him better through the music he loved. Listening to the songs, I found myself not only appreciating the music itself, but also the effort Tom had put into selecting the tracks. Each song seemed to tell a story, and I couldn't help but wonder what had inspired him to choose them. The playlist felt like a bridge, connecting us in a way that I hadn't anticipated. As I walked around campus with the tunes playing in my ears, I found my thoughts wandering to Tom more often than not. It was as if the music had woven a thread of connection between us, a reminder of our conversations and shared interests. I hadn't expected that our interactions would lead to this. A simple exchange of playlists had become something more. It was a reminder that connections could be formed in the most unexpected ways. and that sometimes reaching out in even the smallest gestures could create a bond that transcends the surface. Tom's gesture had shifted something within me, stirring up a mixture of emotions that ranged from curiosity to a growing sense of camaraderie. It was as if through our shared music, I was getting to know him in a way that went beyond jealousy or attraction. And with each song that played, I found myself looking forward to the next chapter of our connection, whatever that might entail. And then one day, Tom and I had just finished our workout, beads of sweat clinging to our skin. I grabbed a towel and wiped my face, trying to cool down. As I glanced around, I noticed Tom casually peeling off his shirt nearby to wipe off the sweat. I couldn't help but steal a quick look, my eyes tracing the contours of his muscular frame. My heart raced and my cheeks felt warm as I looked away, not wanting to be caught staring. "Hey Sam, you alright?" Tom's voice brought me back from my thoughts. I cleared my throat and nodded. "Yeah, just need a minute to catch my breath." He chuckled and walked over, tossing his shirt onto a nearby bench. "No rush, take your time." I appreciated his easygoing attitude, and I tried to focus on my towel drying off my face, but there was something magnetic about the way Tom moved, his shirtless form drawing my attention like a magnet. Before I knew it, my gaze had lingered a bit too long, and my heart skipped a beat. When our eyes met, in that moment, something impulsive took over, and without thinking, I leaned in and pressed my lips against his. The kiss was soft and brief, fueled by a mixture of emotions I couldn't quite put into words. It was a spur-of-the-moment action, a leap into the unknown, but as soon as our lips touched, I realized what I had done. I had exposed the identity of what I've been trying to battle with all these years. I pulled away, my heart racing even faster now, and I met Tom's surprised gaze. His expression was a mix of confusion and uncertainty. "Sam?" he said, his voice carrying a question. I took a step back, feeling a flush of embarrassment and regret. I'm sorry, Tom. I don't know what came over me." Tom's brow furrowed as he processed what had just happened. "I think we need to talk about this." As he walked away, I stood there, my heart sinking. I hadn't meant to act on my impulses like that, and I couldn't believe I had taken such a risk without considering the consequences. Little did I know, Jane had been watching from a window in the gym, her expression a mixture of surprise and hurt. In that moment, everything seemed to come crashing down. The impulsive kiss, the tangled emotions, and the realization that my actions had consequences beyond my own feelings. I ran towards her. "I can explain, please," I cried out. "Jane, there's nothing between us. Tom came after me." "What the hell, Sam?" Jane stomped off. My actions had consequences that I couldn't ignore. The tension between Tom and me was palpable. Our interactions were strained, and it was clear that things had shifted between us. However, the situation took an even more complicated turn when I started hearing whispers and seeing knowing glances from people around campus. It didn't take long to realize that the news of our kiss had spread, and the gossip mill was in full swing. One afternoon, I overheard a group of students discussing the situation openly in the cafeteria. My heart sank as their words reached my ears, and I realized that the secret I'd been struggling to contain was now public knowledge. It was then that I learned that Jane, hurt and angry about what she had witnessed, had taken matters into her own hands. I confronted Jane later that day, my frustration evident in my voice. "Jane, why would you spread something so personal without talking to me first?" She looked at me, her expression a mixture of anger and resentment. "You kissed someone else, Sam, right in front of me. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was?" I sighed, feeling a sense of guilt, but also an overwhelming need to explain myself. "Jane, I messed up, I know, but spreading gossip like this isn't going to fix anything." Her eyes flashed with defiance. "Maybe not, but it's my way of dealing with what you did. You hurt me, Sam." I ran a frustrated hand through my hair. "And I'm sorry for that, but this isn't the way to handle it. We should be talking about this, not dragging other people into our problems." "Deal with it," she had said. One particularly tough day, as the whispers and jeers reached the boiling point, I found myself at the center of a cruel taunting session. The classroom had become a battleground of mockery, and I felt like I was drowning in a sea of judgment. The hurtful words stung like needles, each comment chipping away at my already fragile self-esteem. Just when I felt like I couldn't take it anymore, a voice rose above the rest, cutting through the negativity like a beacon of hope. It was Tom, standing up with a determined expression on his face. The room fell silent as everyone turned to look at him, unsure of what was happening. "I can't stand by and watch this anymore," Tom said, his voice steady and unwavering. "I need to set the record straight." He paused, and the tension in the room was palpable. My heart raced, and I waited to hear what he would say next. "Maybe what you're hearing isn't true," Tom continued, his gaze locking onto mine briefly before he addressed the class. "But even if it were, I wouldn't change who Sam is, or the respect he deserves. I am proud to accept my identity in front of you all. I am gay. The bullying didn't stop though. It carried on every day until one day I sent a letter to the college. Feeling overwhelmed by the persistent bullying and the emotional toll it was taking on me, I made the difficult decision to put my thoughts into words. I wrote a heartfelt letter explaining how the relentless harassment had affected me and my decision to leave the college. It was a bittersweet act, a mix of resignation and determination to prioritize my well-being. The next day, our English teacher, Mrs. Thompson, approached me with a concerned expression. "Sam, I received your letter. Would you mind if I read it out to the class?" I hesitated, surprised by the suggestion. "Are you sure?" She nodded, her eyes kind. "I think it's important for your classmates to understand what you've been going through." As Miss Thompson read my letter to the class, the room fell into a heavy silence. The words that have been my private thoughts were now exposed to the judgment and empathy of those around me. I could feel the weight of their attention, a mix of surprise and realization that my struggles had been deeper than they could have imagined. As the days passed, I focused on putting the pieces of my life back together, grappling with the decision to leave while also coming to terms with the changes that were taking place. One afternoon, there was a knock on my door that I wasn't expecting. Opening the door, I was greeted by Tom, his expression a mix of concern and determination. "Hey Sam, mind if I come in?" I stepped aside, allowing him to enter. "Sure, Tom. What brings you here?" I still couldn't believe he was at my house. He took a deep breath, his gaze steady as he looked at me. "I read your letter. I'm sorry you've had to go through this." I nodded, appreciating his sincerity. "It's been tough, but I'm trying to move forward." Tom looked at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of emotions. "Sam, there's something I need to tell you, something I should have said a long time ago." My heart skipped a beat, curiosity mingling with a sense of apprehension. "What is it?" He took a step closer, his voice gentle yet resolute. "I have feelings for you, Sam. More than just friendship. I have missed you so much in college. Please come back." I blinked, surprised by his confession. I hadn't anticipated this turn of events, and yet there was a part of me that felt a surge of warmth in his words. "I wanted to be honest with you," Tom continued. "I understand if things are complicated right now, but I needed you to know." "Tom," I said, my voice soft but sincere. "Come here." I hugged him. Tom smiled, a hint of relief in his expression. The end. Do you think LGBTQ education should be part of a college wellness curriculum? Let us know in the comments down below. If you like the story, you can show your support at Ko-fi. Link in the description. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force, and stay wholesome.